Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Praetorian. This is actually a good thing because it has been a while since I've actually had a chance to make an episode of the Praetorian. We were debating on what we wanted to actually do a stream of, WoW Talk maybe, or something from the wonderful world of weirdness. But then I decided, let's go ahead and do an episode of the Praetorian and talk about some of the topics that we have been discussing in the last couple days, because it is coming close to the 4th of July. Here with me today is my co-host Mark Edworthy with Tan High Tran and my brother Robert Hanson. Welcome, guys. Now tomorrow my brother Robert, he is going to do his show for the Praetorian and his channel about the 4th of July, but today we are going to discuss things maybe that are pertaining to like the War of 1812, things that are going on in current events, stuff like that too. So there's a good chance too that we will be discussing topics that we have been talking about lately that doesn't pertain to any of that. So with that, we're just going to basically have an open conversation.
Actually, just if we continue, something I totally forgot about and you just reminded me of, and once you mentioned the 4th of July, last week was the 10th anniversary of Brexit.
Yeah, well,
oh. Yeah, I just totally forgot all about that. Don't you just mention that?
Ago, huh?
Now with what you said about Brexit and everything, that brings up another good subject, a good thing to ask. With all the stuff that's been happening with the elections and what's been happening with the Labour Party, do you think that there is a good chance that England is probably going to go back to the EU?
Not within this, if not within this government or upcoming government. I can see if whoever becomes the next prime minister, probably Andy Burnham, but again, I'm saying probably. Technically, legally speaking, even Keir Starmer could actually stand within internal elections and become the next prime minister. Very unlikely, but he could. Anyway, whoever becomes prime minister, this next government will be, to say, sort of, in my view, a caretaker government. They won't be able to do very much into the next general election. They're just going to say a lot of things and no real action is going to happen.
Now, for me, what I'm making things out to be, from what I'm seeing on the news and stuff, is they're making it out like the Labour Party has completely collapsed. But, for me, when I look at the media and how they're being portrayed and everything, it seems, to me at least, that they're more prominent now than they ever have been before, I mean, everybody seems to be worried over there about rejoining the EU, and for what I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like they've really lost very much power,
if we do rejoin, then it won't be a direct rejoin, or it'll be a new join. Actually, in fact, it won't be a rejoin, so to speak. It'll be a new join. But if it happens, they would have to. Well, technically, there wouldn't have to be, but for the purpose of a good exercise, would have to mean that they would have to have a new referendum, which I would think would result in the same results as we saw 10 years ago. Or the government will be sneaky and push us into the EU through the back door to slowly increase EU regulations back onto us. But that takes time. And considering that at the latest, or the longest, there will be a general election in what, 2.5, 3 years now. I can see it happening. I can see this happening. There may be some regulations that we pass on from, or the EU will force us into, or we will extract from the EU. But in reality, we will not join the EU within the next 3 years. It's not credible, in my opinion. And besides, we've got other issues ourselves, such as the immigration issue, such as financial situation. In fact, I've got a little bone to pick with Tan on one of your recent posts. I can't remember the actual wording of it, but you suggested that Canada was the first country to go into recession through the G7, and technically, I would argue you could argue Germany is. I know we could pick up numbers. We could pick up.
When is Germany going into recession?
Arguably, it's been in recession for the last 3-4 years. Yeah, if you look at it on a long-term sort of, you're talking about a technical recession.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about a recession that was brought about by
the technical recession, i.e., 3 consecutive quarters or months.
Yeah. But that's not important. The point is, all the other industrial worlds are able to yet adapt with all the stuff that's happening in the past 2 years, right?
Okay. If you're looking at it in that longer term, then I would say Britain or Germany. I mean,
really?
If you're just basing it upon GDP figures, then yeah, you could argue Canada is the first country. But if you look at it on sort of money going back to the public pockets, going back the earning capacity of individuals, then I would argue Germany or UK.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. Both of you can tell me this. Okay, within your own country and all that, there was a thing on eBay. I mean, not eBay. On the thing of about U.S. Bank, the U.S. Bank here.
The Federal Reserve. Yes.
It's what you call it? It's not a regular bank, but it's a like a new an international bank where it deals with other countries, borrow money from them, and all that, and they do not give out loans and all that. Have you ever heard of that bank?
The IMF.
Yeah, it's real big, and it's not supposed.
No, it's called the International Monetary Fund.
Yeah, IMF. Yeah.
Now, the Federal Reserve trades in bearer bonds. A lot of people talk about trading in cash or money. Now, the Federal Reserve, you see, they trade on federal bearer bonds internationally. Now, when it comes to federal or the Federal Reserve, when it comes to giving loans to individuals, they don't do that. What they do is they lend money out to the banks, and they produce money for the government.
But they're saying that the bank itself here in the U.S. has no rights. You don't go to this bank to get no house loans, no credit cards, no savings account, no nothing. They do not deal in regular everyday banking stuff. They deal in large things from countries and all that. And I'm like, then that's awful odd. Because for what they were saying on the video, and for what I've seen, how U.S. Bank is sitting here, they got branches all over the place and all that. Yeah, it's a topsy-turvy. I don't know what to think, because I never heard of that. And I thought a big corporation bank, international bank like that, like the World Bank.
Well, first of all, like you're using the wrong term. There is no America.
Well,
Now you have the Bank of America, which is a privately owned bank.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But
Oh, okay.
now
That's why I was wondering.
there's no such thing. America.
Wait, in Canada we have the Bank of Canada. What's the U.S. if you have?
Yeah, but that's
the
still
Federal
private.
Reserve, right?
Now, is that a privately owned bank? Bank
It's
of
all
Canada?
private. All banks are
No.
private.
The Bank of Canada is I thought it's the equivalent of the U.S. Federal Reserves, but maybe not.
So yeah, that would be what.
Because Mark Carney, the current Prime Minister of
Mhm.
Canada, he used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada.
Yeah. Again, these are banking institutions which are all private.
Now,
rather than
I've had
government
interesting
or
conversations about that too.
Now, I've actually had interesting conversations when it comes to this, especially when it comes to the Federal Reserve. And a lot of people, they believe that the Federal Reserve is a government organization, and it's not. Neither is the Social Security Office, or the IRS. These are all non-governmental organizations, but everybody believes they are when they really in reality aren't. And everybody keeps arguing with me about it, and I keep telling them, I'm like, no, they are not governmental organizations. The only reason why they have power is because of the plenary powers that are given to them by Congress, and that's it. And people still, they still don't believe that they aren't government offices.
No, I was right. The U.S. Federal Reserve is the counterpart of the Bank of Canada. It's a central bank, right? So,
Yeah, much like the Bank of England.
yeah.
So could they be in any form or fashion affiliated with any other bank here in the U.S. like that?
Well, the Federal Reserve is what distributes the money. Now, here's the best way to explain it. Now, if I turn around and I take $10 and I put it in a bank, only $5 of that $10 stays in the bank. $5 out of that $10 goes to the Federal Reserve. Now, what happens there is the $5 that I have left in the bank, or no, first of all, the $5 that I have left in the bank, okay, say somebody comes in and they want to make a $2.50 loan. So they come in, they get a $2.50 loan, and they have to pay that back with interest. Now, the $2.50 loan is paid back with another $5, which will make $10 that's in the bank, okay, as well as the $5 that got sent off to the Federal Reserve, which is $5, and that makes $15. So on top of that, they've just made $15 off of $10, and a person has to pay that loan back with interest. So that means that they have $20 off of a $10 amount of money that I put in the bank. Now the thing about it is whenever I turn around and I put that money in there, the Federal Reserve will automatically send the bank money to back it up, so that they make sure that they've always got a reserve amount of money in the bank. So it's pretty interesting how that works, but that's how they supply the banks with the currency.
Okay, and they do, and are they affiliated? How does that work with the school administration? The school administration, when these schools gets like grant money and all that,
grant money comes. Grant money, a governmental, it's a taxpayer provided
that
money.
doesn't come.
Oh, they don't. Oh, okay.
The Money Machine. Welcome back. Tonight, no talking points, no scripts, just questions about the machine. Another headline, another debate. Brexit echoes across the gate. Power shifts, but does it move? Or is somebody pulling every groove? Labor falls, or so they say. Tomorrow's winner, yesterday. Everybody's watching, nobody sees who writes the rules behind the scenes. Tell me, who prints tomorrow? Who measures debt? Who purchases sorrow? The numbers climb, the wheels all spin. Everybody craves to play again. Inside, the money machine. Federal paper, federal name. Everybody thinks they're all the same. Banks make loans from borrowed air. Growing numbers everywhere. 5 comes 10, then 20 more. Debt keeps walking through the door.
Person, credit, interest, control. Follow the ledger if you want to find
It can do because governments can borrow money.
Well, what about like Social Security? Since they go in depth into Social Security from
Well, there's no
1980.
now there is no evidence that that's taken place. There are a lot of claims that that's happening, but let me make the point clear. There is absolutely no evidence that that's true or not. I just wanted to say that. And
Generally speaking, once a taxpayer pays tax, all that tax money goes into a big pot, and then it gets divvied out to whether
Well, supposedly,
service.
yeah, but supposedly there's a several different counts they do, and for each person that does work that gets broke up then into them separate accounts, but they mainly goes for that one there because they never have no they have had problems of coming up with the money to pay back. They claim the people that making statements about the people that goes there and gets into Social Security the account, that when it comes to when they sign the paperwork about paying it back.
well, first of all, the thing about Social Security, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything bad about Social Security because a lot of people have paid into it, okay? But you need to understand that Social Security was something that probably should have been, or was something that should have probably never taken place, or at least not been used long term. First of all, it pulls money out and it takes money out of people's wages. And this isn't a tax. This is supposed to be set up for people's pensions. Now, that, according to the Constitution of the United States, is actually illegal. Now, the taxes that we should have been going off of, the ones that are supposed to be used for taxation here in the United States, should just come from the taxes that are pulled from buying and selling products. That's sales tax, and that's it. It shouldn't be pulled off of people's wages and people's properties and stuff of that nature. That's 100% against the constitutional law that was set down in the United States. You know, and the thing of it is there's a lot of people who agree with me on this, and they'll tell you straight up that the way that the Federal Reserve it does things and the way people are being taxed is just 100% and completely constitutionally illegal. You know, and then you can take that any way that you want to, okay? You know, if there's people like liberals, they're going to disagree with me. They'll say that it's okay to tax people's wages and tax their property, and they'll come up with an excuse saying that it's okay because it's for the greater good. You know, and the thing of it is when I say constitutionally illegal, you need to understand that originally here in the United States, you know, our founding fathers didn't want a Federal Reserve or a state bank, you know, kind of like the Bank of England or you know, things of that nature. They didn't want that. They were against it. You know, it was kind of like Tan mentioned, you know, the Bank of Canada. And I mean, the thing of it is we never wanted any kind of centralized bank of that nature. That was something that a lot of people were trying to avoid. You know, we had a few people in politics back then that manipulated their way into getting things like that set up, like Hamilton. He was one of them who was involved in doing those kind of things. He was traveling to Europe constantly and learning their banking systems and coming back to the United States and trying to get those regulations and those banking practices put into place here in the United States. Now, I could be wrong. I'm thinking Hamilton, but I'm not quite sure. I might be wrong about the name, but I just figured. I'm pretty sure, though. I think that's who it is.
Oh, you told me that just before. I can't think of his name, but I know.
He ended up being president. I think he was second or third.
Because what I was asking for is because they come up with all these different types of thinking things. It's like my first AC in it. I guess AI now, the movie industry is going on to Facebook because they came up with their first movie. They did. Yeah,
Okay.
AI movie. Facebook came out with it today. A part of it, you gotta finish. You gotta go through the process, but it's an AI movie.
When you say AI, what specifically? Again,
Well, it's about interstitial flight in space. They didn't give a name. They didn't of the movie, but it was an AI movie. They had the AI
okay. Again, I don't know what you mean by AI in this context.
AI was it? AI made the movie.
But Roger, you're talking about John Adams, I think. Artificial intelligence. What do you mean?
Making movies.
Specifically, what? Are we talking about artificial
intelligence?
I pushed it.
Are we talking about artificial script, computer generative scripts?
I pulled it up now. The first
Adams.
No, Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah, Alexander Hamilton. He was the first to organize a centralized bank here in the United States. He was the first Secretary of Treasury for President George Washington. And Hamilton proposed the creation of the first national bank here in the United States. He believed a national bank was necessary to stabilize the country's young economy. He used the excuse of paying off war debts and reparations and stuff like that.
So we're talking about under John Taylor's administration. Yeah, 2019. Actually, no, we're not. We are talking about. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What's the difference between them banks and today's, how the two operates in the process of from the two different times, like how the bank works now compared to what it was back then? The process of the difference from that time, the laws of banking until now, because you would think that.
No, we were talking about the recession in Canada. I mean, I really don't understand, what you're getting at. It's like I don't see how what you're saying has anything to do with what the original topic was about when it comes to the recession in Canada and the UK. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
what was it you guys were talking about when it comes to the recession?
Oh, Mark was disputing my claim that Canada was the first country to enter
Well,
recession.
in a technical official recession, yeah, you could argue that Canada is the first, but in real terms, I argue that it wasn't.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, for me, when it comes to inflation, I think that that's a made up, make believe thing because, I mean, inflation wasn't even an issue until they came up with the 40-hour week, and people used to work a whole lot longer than 40 hours a week, you know. So
Infl- inflation. Okay, explain how does inflation work? Like it depends on how many people, the amount of money that goes into your government. Ain't that way it works?
the
So
supposed
In,
inflation
in
went down.
in very basic terms, inflation means the less worth of, let's say, a dollar. So a dollar could have bought you, I don't know, whatever 10 years ago, but it's not going. But you're going to need what, $4 now to buy the same thing as a dollar would have bought you 10 years ago.
okay, so like with Canada, okay, since they're going through that process of where lack of jobs because they're being all computerized.
Well, we,
And
we like to call it outsourced.
Okay.
you know, all that outsource is going on, automated and taxi automation, energy as well. That means that they're still never going to get as good as anything else because they're still going to go down farther
Well,
down because the
I
lack
mean,
of jobs.
no,
Again, I
it's more
think
than
you
that.
put in too much emphasis on automation.
Well, I'm talking about for every automated
No,
thing.
Robert, it's
put
yeah,
way-
I think you put in too much in.
It's way too much.
Not every job is automated. Some jobs are being outsourced to other countries.
Right, exactly.
uh,
Mongolia is the big
manual
one.
skill.
Yeah, but
Hold up, let me
Skill.
point this. And I mentioned this to Naroki because
Automation can
he
only go
doesn't.
so far.
I'm sitting here muted. I'm sitting here muted.
I think you've been too.
I'm sorry,
I
I was
think-
muted. I agree with
Okay.
you on that because, like,
I-
everything you said there is true. And another thing I want to point out too is, I'm sorry, I was muted out, but I wanted to also mention when you were talking about outsourcing, Mongolia is a very big issue when it comes to that too. I said that to Naroki too, and he just doesn't want to listen to that. You know what I mean? But that's another big issue.
I think Robert is bitten by the so-called AI bug. Believe everything's going to be
Well,
sort of.
what I was referring to is that okay, how many jobs will it take to run a computer for manufacturing of a vehicle? The size of the plant, and then in them
Well,
plants, how many
Robert-
of them jobs will
Robert.
supply that plant?
Now, Robert, you need to understand this, okay? Now, this is something that benefits the companies and the corporations, and it doesn't benefit the labor. Now, this is something like with Canada. Canada has minerals and resources galore, and if they wanted to, Canada could probably be the richest country in the world just because of their resources and their minerals and stuff. But see, the problem is though Canada doesn't want to do that. Canada wants to outsource their mineral and resource productions to other countries like Mongolia, who, by the way, are selling these minerals at a cheap price. So rather than having workers that are mining these minerals in their country and making money, they would rather outsource the labor to Mongolia so that they will do it and at a cheaper price. And that has nothing to do with dark factories, dark warehouses, AI, or any of that. I mean, that is a big part of it, but that's not all of it. There's a lot more. And I've had conversations about this, and it's like I said, he doesn't. I've had conversations with this about to Naroki, and he's like I said, he doesn't want to hear anything about it. He wants to talk about other things, and this is one of the most important things to discuss, in my opinion.
So
I think the problem is people have to subset it all to sort of the mainstream headlines and corporations that want to push automation and sort of blinded by what's actually happening in various industries. Again, not everything is artificial intelligence. We don't eat, drink, and shit artificial intelligence.
Well, I mean, they were taking some of the low jobs and some of the high jobs, okay, and transforming them into artificial intelligent work. They did. In grocery stores, like at Walmart here, they took some of where they filled the cart of the things, and they got a machine. They go around at night and restock all the stores and clean up the areas and all that.
I'm just thinking of the biggest supermarkets in the UK. Biggest chain supermarkets in the UK is Tesco's. I've got Tesco's just down the road from me, and they still staff in people to actually fill the shelves. So I think
That's good.
you are being blindsided by a sort of
Well,
futuristic sort of, I don't know, a lie. Yeah. Walmart still employs people to stock shelves.
yes, but now what Walmart does do is they got like a fourth of their stores automated.
Well, you know, I mean, I know you're big on
Pull up a chair tonight. We're not selling answers, we're asking questions. Some call it progress, some call it debt, some call it freedom, some aren't convinced yet. Every paycheck, every line, another signature, another dime. that says it's for us all. Another says we've gone too far. Old ideas meet modern days. Different roads, different ways. Founders argued long ago. Could they see the world we'd know?
Institutions
Change with time.
laws are written,
Then refine.
history
Never ends.
it only changes hands.
Every nation built its frame. Every generation plays the game. Every citizen looks around, searching for more solid ground. Questions linger long after speech. Sometimes truth stays out of reach. Paper promises written down. Some become a golden crown. Some become a heavier chain. Some return again, again. Keep asking, keep reading, keep your eyes wide open. The conversation continues.
You know, when it comes to also AI, when it and all of that, let's take a look at these jobs real quick. Let's talk about who actually loses the jobs because of that. You know, most of the people who are terrified that AI is going to steal their jobs are the people who are in the computer industry. Now, these are most of the people who are funneling out most of the I hate AI propaganda that's coming out.
Sorry, not only in the computer industry, but in administration.
Mostly in. Now, the other group of people who are afraid of losing their jobs because of AI are mostly the people who are working jobs that are useless and they don't really need to be working those jobs in the first place. Like working in fast food and being the guy who pushes the buttons so that freaking the timer for the french fries is turned on. Those kind of jobs, you know. I mean, it's pretty much just a dead job, you know what I'm saying? Just senseless jobs that nobody really needs to be doing. Right? If you can get AI. Freaking all you gotta do is just French fries down to
Mhm.
fry thing, and that's perfectly fine.
Again, these aren't intelligent. These aren't artificial intelligence. They're just automated machines.
Well, you have this, see, and this is the roadblock me and you have. Like, you have this idea like AI was never a part of robotics and it was never a part of freaking virtual reality. When in reality,
Hey,
if you look back, they have always been okay. Like they
in
have
science
always
fiction,
been.
in the minds of people like William Gibson, yeah.
No, I
But
mean they have always been linked together. There's never been a separation between the term
yeah,
AI,
it's not
robotics,
intelligence.
and
It's just
well,
algorithms. It's
they've been
man-made
using
algorithms.
that term since the 1980s. Okay, and it's always linked to robotics, always linked to virtual reality. They've always been one and the same. You know what I mean? There's never been a separation of three.
Again, in the minds of people, novel writers and science fiction writers,
Most most of the people who freaking encourage virtual reality, most of the people who encourage freaking setting up these machines, uh, that they are the same ones who are going to be losing their job because they freaking are now on the chopping. Their creations are the same things that are turning against them, and they're going to lose their job because AI or LLMs can code faster than they. And with the code that they put out, it's freaking like 50 times freaking more than the average code freaking puts out. Okay, so that means they've got to go through and they got to clean the slop. That's about the existence of their job. They're going to be
and
cleaning.
here we go. Come with to the issue that I complain about all the time. You having these large language models writing code, and nobody can understand the code. People know.
Somebody's going to have to go through there and clean it up. So that's what a coder is going to be now. They're going to be the garbage. They're going to be going through, cleaning up code, paid minimum wage. So that's what I'm. Those are the people whose careers are being threatened, and they're the same ones who promoted VR, and they're the ones who promoted robotics. They're the ones who promoted LLM. All of these programs have been around for years. Okay.
I'm not saying that we are not going to see more and more automation in industries, because obviously we are going to see more automation in the fourth industrial era. But people jumping on the artificial intelligence, and I hate that term, bandwagon at this present moment, thinking that the end is going to, or the world is going to stop. The end is nigh. Scaremongering, because
I agree.
I think that there's a lot more that you could be worried about, and I also believe that if AI takes your job, then that job really isn't worth having.
To be honest, because
and there's the old argument, especially in the public sector, about useless jobs. People just answering emails all day, or just sticking a number in a spreadsheet all day.
Right.
Really unproductive jobs. Sure, get a machine to do those unproductive tasks for you.
This is actually an area where Tan would probably have a better take on this stuff, because this is something that is more down his alley. You know what I mean? Because, well, what's your take on this, Tan?
Rewind for me the last 2 minutes of what we were talking about.
do you think that AI is going to get rid of a lot of the useless jobs that most people in the tech world are used to having.
For like what? Useless job.
Like
Again, like my examples of people just putting numbers in an spreadsheet or an email or even development type jobs. Jobs
Write speech for politicians.
yeah, or
Speech
even write code. The sort of development job that you do.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, talk about code writers. For sure, AIs are not going to get rid of coders. They would just build a new class of coders.
Interestingly enough, there's a big argument in the open source community. Dare I say community? Again, another term I don't like in this concept. About commits or merge requests being written by large language models and certain projects refusing to accept those merge requests because they were written by large language models.
Sure, that's up to the projects. They have their own policies, right? Some of them are maybe afraid of lawsuits, of having AI generated code into their code base.
I have a question for you.
You know, they don't have. You know, if people are going to be using AI LLMs to generate code, they need some sort of legal arrangement with the LLM vendors, right?
Yeah.
So there's legal implications that those open source projects don't want to get tied down or having headaches about. So
it is an interesting, Roger. I've got an interesting question for you. Throughout the Fallout series, you were using large language models to generate the scripts.
Right.
Who actually owned those scripts?
That would be me.
The terms of service of those large language models.
Well, see, I actually have been doing some cool research into this, and believe it or not, I posted it on our chat the other day, and I can't believe it. I was amazed by it. But one of the guys who came out with this was actually an employee of vidIQ, and this also impacted the channel that I'm doing with the wonderful world of weirdness too. Okay, and it has to do with copyright, and it also has to do with what do they call that? It's not copyright, but it's actually in
ownership.
It has to do with using content that's not yours. Now, the whole thing about copyright when it comes to LLMs and AI, what they term as AI, is it cannot be copywritten, and it cannot be termed as copyright, a copyright issue. All right. No,
why is that?
No, they've actually had it on there last night. I posted it into Elements. Let me see if I can find it again. This is actually I put it on there, and I actually said this is a really good really good
I argue that a large language vendor or a large language production house could state in the terms of service that they own all content.
Well, see, that's the whole thing with the terms of service. With the terms of service, you are right. You are absolutely right. But he gets into it a lot more in detail. Okay. Now, with the wonderful world of weirdness, what got them in trouble, or what got John in trouble, was inauthentic material that he had used on his channel years before. Okay. Now, inauthentic material, Robert, I'm hearing in the background.
Oh, okay.
But inauthentic material is actually what the deal is when it comes to AI. Okay, and it has absolutely nothing to do with AI whatsoever. It was more of the fact that the people who formerly had the channel, which is John and them, used content that was created by other people. It wasn't a strike for copyright. Okay, it was using unauthentic material without using it as material with like commentary involved, or just having a conversation and saying what the video was about. Instead that
But are those content generated by AI?
no, this wasn't even AI generated.
Right.
Okay, and this is what the issue is with YouTube right now. Okay, it's not a fact of copyright infringement or anything like that. It has to do with inauthentic material. They're going after people for using content that they didn't create themselves. You see what I mean?
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who owns the original content.
Right. Material without.
Just to clarify, you're talking about the vidIQ.
No, this actually has to do with YouTube's. YouTube's.
No. The thing that you stuck on the chat was the vidIQ YouTube. Oh.
No, that one was before. This one is a new. Oh yeah, the vidIQ. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I haven't. I've been meaning to watch the whole day, and I just haven't had the time.
I really don't like vidIQ. Don't get me wrong, okay, but this guy hit it right on the nose, and I have to admit he was right about a lot of this stuff, because I had gone through this with John on the channel The Wonderful World of Weirdness, because their organic reach has just been crappy ever since they got struck down on their monetization stuff. Like they were getting views like you wouldn't believe, but the moment that happened, everything just went bam. It just dropped. So.
But in order to determine if the content